I think my whole musical experience has really allowed me to hear music from the standpoint of being appreciative of like kind of like the people who made music before me. You don't hear a lot of like soul samples today. I really love the fact that 21 kind of took the risk with me to do it, because I've tried to in my career to make things that just sound a little bit different for the artist or sound a little bit off kilter, just so they can tap into something different.
How much money you got? How much money you got? How much money you got?
The first initial conversation I actually had was with my my A&R at Sony. She had mentioned 21 of the newer generation. Like, he is one of the artists that just sticks out, where he just, everything about him is unique, and you can tell he has a real story. I got in contact with his A&R, Erica Coulter. She hit me, was like, yo, you want to come to Phoenix, Arizona? I was like, Phoenix, Arizona? Why the hell you want me to come out there? And she was like, yeah, no, we're actually on tour with Post Malone. I was literally there for like 24 hours. I was maybe even less, like probably like 12 hours or so. I literally just played him some samples that night. We didn't even record or anything, but he liked the vibe of that sound. It's funny, we did a couple sessions in between, like the one we actually made a lot, where, it was, I did a session with him and Donald Glover where we did Monster for the album. And that was really cool. And then we just kind of been tossing stuff back and forth. He had a song camp in Atlanta that I did with a bunch of different singers and songwriters, and we were there for about 3-4 days. I had got in a session with Jay White, really dope producer, one of the top guys in the game right now. I just played him the sample. The sample is "I Love You" by East of Underground, and he kind of came in and was like, "Yo, we should add like a." Some influence of like some 3 6 Mafia vocal chop vibe, stuff like that. And so I think 21 came in the next day, and he was going to different rooms, and he stopped by our room, and I just played it for him. And like probably like within the first 5 minutes, he was like, oh yeah, this is the intro. He was like, yeah, this is for sure the intro. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fire. I don't think I even heard him have a verse on it until maybe a few weeks later. That's when I really started to build the record out and like flush out like the sounds a little bit more, get it a little bit more in sequence, and kind of formulate the song. Well, the first sound that kind of made the record was the actual sample. I love you. Shout out to my guy Egon, who is like my sample guy. He just sends me a bunch of really cool folders of just like stuff just to chop. I really didn't do too much to the sample outside of just kind of found a sequence that I really liked and kind of made that the actual loop, and then kind of sequenced one other part in it. But in generally, I liked it what it was. Basically from there, I just kind of put a basic hi-hat, kick, snare pattern. And even when I made it, I didn't say I wanted this to be like a trap type of record or a trap influence record. It was more like, I just knew it had to be open. So this is the kick by itself. From there, the hat and snare together. It reminded me of Hustle and Flow, the movie. I remember watching that movie and he was making that beat on the Casio drum machine. I knew this pattern or the drum pattern was just like kind of universal. I think I wanted a reverse pattern just to kind of go in contrast with the drums. It does give it a different pocket, which is cool. I can play all four of those sounds together, so you guys kind of can hear in contrast of what it sounded like. To kind of complete the pattern was simply just kind of like the 808s, just because I feel like an 808 is a drum now. It's obviously a melody tool, but for me, it's very important to just like the bottom of the record. Bass and drums are like, that's like my heart and soul, like just me as a producer and a writer. The energy of the record really started to formulate into a kind of like a South anthem. Felt country, but it felt big. International Player Anthem was definitely like an influence of the record. It just has like that really unforgettable element of like a song. It feels good at any point in time. So from there, it was just a matter of just finishing the elements in that and making it sound a little more special at different points. So this is like a feel. So just like a live feel kind of sound. That sound was like added to the drums. So another element was the open hat sound. Open hat sound to give it the drum machine kind of. So you get the live kind of drum fill sound with the drum machine open hat sound together. So from there, I went and did DJ scratch vocals. I remember I did like a scratch sound. I have scratch sounds. Literally, I just kind of chop them into the record and then time stamping them with just a random vocal sample that I have. These three, I think I did vocals and I stacked them. And these are just my vocals.
Brick up, jam, I brick up, jam, I brick up.
I wasn't even really saying anything, which is funny. People think I'm saying something, but I'm actually not saying anything. I think the next sound I added was this kind of like staticky sound bank of just a bunch of crap, but it just sounded cool.
So you still have a problem with the rear hatch seal. So you still have a problem with the rear hatch seal.
And then I had this other sound to give it more texture again. This is like a echoed chop, vocal chop thing. I play you them all together so you can kind of feel how it all pieced together as a pocket.
Brick up, jam, I brick up, jam, I brick up, jam, I brick up, jam.
When you put all the spice of the drums and the sauce of the sample and then just the uniqueness of the chops and vocals together, you know, this is what you get.
How much money you got? A lot. How many problems you got? A lot. How many people done doubted you? A lot. Left you out to rot? A lot. How many pray that you flop? A lot. How many lawyers you got? A lot. How many times you got shot? A lot. How many niggas you shot? A lot.
How many faking they streams, getting they plays from machines? I can see behind the smoke and mirror.
I wasn't there when Cole recorded his verse. The muffled sound when Cole came in was probably just his engineer. I didn't even hear the full record until it was actually released. I trust 21's ear and I trust like his decision making because he kind of knows his story and he knows like what he wants to kind of do at the end of the day.
Take a dive, put away my pride.
For the record to get the recognition that it did is really amazing because where I started the record to where it ended, and it's still impacting things. I would have never thought that it would, but it's dope just to have that instinct to be like, yo, I really think this is special, and yeah, it just came out beautiful. My favorite element of this beat is the vocal sample chops. They don't know I did it. You know, I made it with my own like hands and my own like, you know, tools or things like that. So it's really cool for people to hear records and think it's something else, but it's like, no, it's not. It's actually me.